Okay, so round four of the Swiss stage just ended, and today was definitely probably the most predictable day for the major that I had. Uh, so, to start off with the games um, for Bleed and M80, Bleed have definitely not looked that great so far outside of outside of Reaps. He has certainly been carrying them, especially he has the highest KD of the tournament. Um, and and M80 were able to pretty easily handle them in two maps today, and I did get this prediction correct. The second game again a pretty easy prediction, taking FaZe over PSG Talon. Again, PSG Talon just need that more experience to beat such a strong team like FaZe, and PSG Talon were just not ready. Um, for Dark Zero versus Bliss, this is a pretty close two maps, but Bliss really did troll the second map after being up 6-3 on Nighthaven. They ended up dropping it 6-8, and that was largely in part to Pamba actually waking up today because he was the lowest rated player on the team, even below Canadian. And Canadian even had a good map on Chalet today. Not a good Nighthaven, but he had a good Chalet today, so that really helped boost his rating as well. But Pamba was like around point 0.8 yesterday, and he was massive for DZ today, especially with NJR not going crazy. Bolo also had a good performance today, a very good performance today as well. So I feel like Bolo and NJ have been probably the two most consistent players for DZ this tournament so far. Nafe has been pretty consistent too. He just hasn't been going crazy like he did at SI. So okay, now for the lower bracket matches, we had Scars versus Liquid. Again, this is a pretty easy prediction, taking Liquid to win over Scars. Scars have just basically been getting dominated by everyone, except, of course, they do own KAG in the regional matchup. But outside of that, Scars have not been very good at all, and yes, they are eliminated by Liquid today. So Liquid moved to 2-2 after starting 0-2, giving themselves an opportunity to make the main stage by winning tomorrow. And for Beast Coast versus ITB, again, this is a pretty easy prediction, I think, because after the first day where ITB got a win against SSG, where I initially thought it was a really good win, because I did think SSG were pretty good. It turns out SSG were not very good, and Into the Breach lost their next two matches after that, and they got smashed by M80 yesterday. So that led me to believe that Into the Breach just got their one win against a team that was just not very good at all, and therefore Into the Breach are not very good either, and that really stood true this game as Beast Coast kind of ran them over. Now BDS versus KAG. BDS had definitely been like the biggest disappointment this tournament for me, because even though they won today, they won against a Cyclops team in three maps and 8-7 on the last map, and they likely only won this game because they got Oregon defense last round for round 15. So this could very easily be KAG instead of BDS, but BDS did barely edge it out. But BDS have had a pretty disappointing tournament so far. They've looked very very mid, because with only were able to compete with Furia on day one, but they ended up losing. Then they were able to beat a bad SSG game in 12 round team in 12 rounds. Then they end up losing to PSG Talon in probably the biggest upset of the tournament, and that's why they were down here in the 1 and 2 bracket, and they barely squeezed out a game against a KAG team that nobody really thought was very good, and many people probably had this KAG team going 0-3. So good competition for KAG, but KEG were even worse on their attacks on Oregon than BDS were. Whereas BDS won a single attacking round, KEG won 0 attacking rounds on Oregon, which was the last map of this game. So BDS were able to squeak this one out, but barely. But I don't have a lot of confidence in BDS. They have not looked very convincing. Because I thought going into this tournament they were by far the best team in EU, but so I had them pegged as like the one EU team to make it out for sure into the top 8. But instead it ended up being Secret, and Secret have very good wins against FaZe, Dark Zero, and Bliss, who are all good teams, and even great teams like FaZe. So now for the last chance to make the playoffs, it's just do or die now for the last remaining 6 teams. We have Bliss and BDS, Bleed and Liquid, and then Beast Coast and Talon. So again, this feels like it should be an easy layup for predictions, but I really don't think it is, except for this Talon game. I do think I don't really see a world where Talon win this game. I feel like Talon will be able to compete with them because Beast Coast are not as good as FaZe, but Beast Coast really did give FaZe a run for their money in round 3, and they genuinely should have beat FaZe, but ended up kind of trolling it. So Beast Coast should be making it out here. Just to get that over with, and we're going to go back up top. And then Bliss BDS, initially you would on paper this would be an easy game to predict, but with how both these teams have been playing, it's going to be a very awkward one, because Bliss started off really hot by beating E1, who suck, but they did have a really good win against M80, and M80 have been playing well this tournament so far. So, but then they let 2 best of 3s. They've looked weaker in the best of 3s. They let 2 games now slip against Secret and Dark Zero, and they definitely should have gone to map 3 at least today against Dark Zero, but they didn't. They trolled it. So, and then for BDS, they've just looked like not that great. Like the wins they have are against teams that aren't very good, and they're losing to teams that are also not very good. So it's a very weird matchup. But I feel like I want to take Bliss because Bliss have just better results against better teams than BDS do right now. So, and then again for Bleed and Liquid is another weird one, because both these teams, Bleed are really struggle with the fact that it seems their map pool is not very big. So if they go to a map that's not good for them, they get destroyed on it. And for Liquid have lost to M80 and FaZe, who are both really good teams this tournament, and then they have wins against SSG and Scars, who this tournament have both been quite bad. So it's really hard to say how good Liquid are, because even though they have 2 wins now in the Swiss bracket, I still don't think they're very good. And Bleed don't have very impressive wins either against a talent team that's again still learning, and then ITB who just aren't good. And then they have losses against Furia and now M80 today. And in that M80 game, they looked like really mentally out of it. Like the vibes looked really bad. So I'm really afraid for Bleed going into this game. But I'm also really afraid for Liquid. But I feel like Liquid, coming off of 2 wins in a row now, are definitely feeling a little better about themselves than Bleed will be. That's the one thing I really don't like about Bleed, is that they joke so much about being shit and like going home, and I feel like they get in their own heads and do it to themselves. And like another thing for Bleed too is like, for them to be able to beat Liquid, someone needs to step up and help Reaps, because like Turd has been like all right this tournament, but like but like still not that great. And then the rest of the team has just been like, they've just been horrible. So, well, not totally horrible, but they have like been either not good to horrible. So yeah, I really need to see more to them. And then for Liquid, it's like Maya, Palu, and Nesk have all been playing pretty well to decent. Resets has been mid, and then Lagonis has been kills wise very bad, but at least he's been very good at playing the objective at least, and playing the camera. But yeah, Lagonis does not get kills for the most part. So if Lagonis is fragging out against Bleed, it's just over. But I do feel like Liquid have just been like as a team a little more consistent. So I feel like I'm gonna take Liquid to beat Bleed, but I definitely feel that these two matches, the Bliss BDS and then the Bleed Liquid games, are all very can go either way here. So, but these are the teams I'm gonna go with. So, yeah. Again, thank you for watching, and follow all the socials. And as well, I will have make one last video when the last round of Swiss is over tomorrow, and then I should have also and that will also substitute, well, not substitute, it will also be a preview video for the final weekend, the top 8. So we can do that at the same time. So yeah, again, thank you for watching, and I will see you when the next set of matches are done.